Hello, I'm Stuart Brennan. I've had the privilege of being the chief Manchester City writer since 2009, and I'm going to give you my top 10 Manchester City moments of the last decade. There are so many to choose from, but at number 10 I've gone for the moment that City unveiled on the same day. It's not often you get two names of this magnitude unveiled in the same day, but Yaya Toure and David Silva both joined within maybe 10 days of each other in 2010, and that was a huge moment for the club. I've seen the best description of the two came from a City fan who I had a drink with in Bournemouth, who said that for him Yaya Toure is the greatest Manchester City player of all time, and David Silva is the best. The two of them have been absolutely unbelievable over the past 10 years and have made a massive contribution to what City have been in terms of winning trophies and pushing Manchester United to one side. At number 9, I've gone for a big moment in the 2014 title race. You may remember Liverpool fans celebrating. They thought they'd won the title after beating City at Anfield, and then things turned. And the big turning point, I remember being at Sellers Park on a sunny afternoon. City fans were watching Liverpool lose. They were watching Steven Gerrard slip, which let in Demba Ba to score a crucial goal in the title race. And then City went ahead and beat Crystal Palace. Yaya Toure was immense. He scored one and made one for Edin Dzeko, and that is where that title race in 2014 turned. It was a big moment for City. Number 8, it sounds like a bit of a strange one, this, but I think in years to come it will be we'll see why exactly it was a big moment. But I've gone for Ederson signing a 7-year contract. He was a goalkeeper. City had been struggling a little bit with Claudio Bravo. They went out on a limb, brought in Ederson, and he was exactly what they needed. He was a goalkeeper who played as a goalkeeper, who made saves, but also who played as an 11th outfield player. And the fact that they gave him a 7-year contract speaks to that. They showed that he's a player that they're going to build a team around for the next 6 or 7 years. And that is immense going forward. He's already made a big contribution, but I think history will record that he was absolutely crucial to everything that City have done and will do in the future. Number 7 at the time was a bad thing. City fans weren't happy, but I think the sacking of Roberto Mancini and bringing in Manuel Pellegrini was a big moment as well. Don't get me wrong, Mancini did a great job. He was the right man at the right time. It was a volatile time, a tempestuous time. It was called for tempestuous characters, and that's what Mancini was. And he was absolutely crucial in breaking the jinx around City. But he wasn't the right man going forward. City needed to be smoother and calmer after that. Pellegrini came in and did that, and he paved the way for Pep Guardiola coming in at a later date. And producing what we see now. At number 6, it's not often that you pick a semi-final goal over a final goal when you've won the FA Cup, but Yaya Toure, he scored both actually. He scored the winner in the final against Stoke, but the big moment for me was in the semi-final against United, also at Wembley. Not just because it won the semi-final, but for me that was a moment when the balance of power truly tilted in City's favour in Manchester. It was a huge game. Before that, United had carried on beating City, in derby matches, even after the takeover. That goal and that victory made it plain that City were no longer going to be pushed around, that they weren't just a wealthy club, they were now a great team as well. And that Yaya goal, slipping past Michael Carrick and putting it through the legs of the goalkeeper, was a huge moment in City's history. Number 5 is another huge moment in a title race. Obviously, there were a few big moments in the 2011-12 title race, but for me, and of course, I've completely ignored the 6-1 win at Old Trafford, which was one. But for me, Vincent Kompany's header in that tight derby at the Etihad, when City needed to win on the night to nose back and grab the initiative in that title race. Vincent Kompany's header was a seminal moment, and I can still see it now. I can still see him rising, thumping that ball into the net. I can see the City fans going wild, and I can see Kompany's sinews straining as he celebrated the goal. It was just an immense moment. People talk about the moment that I will be talking about later, and they talk about the 6-1, but for me that was an enormous and important moment in what has happened subsequently. Number 4 is signings again. We talked about Yaya Toure and David Silva earlier. In the summer of 2015, City brought in Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling, who in my mind will go down in history along with Yaya and David Silva as being massively important players in the history of the club in terms of bringing trophies in. You would have, a year or two ago, you would have said Kevin De Bruyne alone because he was clearly a world-class star, and he's sort of been the best player at City really in the last 3-4 fabulous years. But Raheem Sterling has come on so much in the last couple of seasons that he now is classed alongside De Bruyne. Those are the two undroppable players that City have got, and in a squad like that with so much competition, that tells you all you need to know. De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling, absolutely irreplaceable. Number 3, and arguably a lot of people put this as the number 1, but the arrival of Pep Guardiola in 2016. City had a great squad, they had 2 really good managers, but Pep Guardiola has taken City to a new level. I know Vincent Kompany said at first it was like trying to understand Chinese, as Pep tried to get his message across to his players. But once the players grasped it, they all moved onto a different plane in football terms. And what's happened since with 2 consecutive league titles and football from a different universe we've seen. So the arrival of Pep Guardiola in 2016, again, massive moment. My number 2, I've gone for my number 2 and number 1. I've gone for moments rather than signings and the arrivals of managers and so on. And my number 2 is Vincent Kompany's goal against Leicester last season, which it was deadlocked. Leicester were playing very well. There seemed to be no way through, and then cometh the hour, cometh the man. And Vincent Kompany just stepped forward. Everyone was urging him not to shoot, to pass the ball, but he's got a great relationship with destiny as Vincent Kompany. He scored that goal back in 2012 that I mentioned earlier, and he just smashed it. We've never seen him do anything like this before in all his time at City. He just creamed it into the top corner. The place went wild, and from then on, City were not going to be denied that league title. It was just one of those moments where we all sat in the press box and looked at each other to try and verify that it actually happened. And then we realised it had, and the place was going nuts. It's one of those moments that will live with you till your dying day. And my number 1, I hate to be predictable, but it has to be, doesn't it? I don't think there are not many City fans. You get the odd cantankerous one who might disagree, but I don't think many would disagree that the Aguero moment in 2012, again, one of those moments that just take your breath away. As a journalist, it was a nightmare because I'd already started to write my article about how typical City was still alive and well. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, Nigel de Jong got involved, Mario Balotelli provided the pass, and Sergio Aguero showed all the calmness in the world to just sidestep and then crash the ball into the net. And I've never known a reaction like that in a football ground. Going from utter despair, tears of incredible sadness to euphoria that on a scale that I've never quite seen before. It was just an amazing moment. My words don't really do it justice. Martin Tyler's commentary perhaps says it all. His famous Aguero scream and the sight of Aguero running around the ground, twirling his shirt and then getting buried under all the City players, and then the scenes of joy at the end as well. In stark contrast to United players wandering around the pitch at Sunderland, wondering what had just hit them. In terms of drama, in terms of the title race and what had been going on, it was just an amazing moment, and for it to come so late in the game, as Martin Tyler said, drink it in because you'll never see this again.